I talk to so many manufacturers who tell me they maybe have a marketing team of one or none. So with all the marketing tactics and tips out there, how can they get the work done when they have such a lean team? Today, my expert, who is Kate Gallagher Bilsterman, I want to say her name correctly, who is the marketing and community relations manager at Tusco Manufacturing, is going to give us these insights on how to help LinkedIn complement all your marketing efforts. But before we get started, my name is Donna Peterson, and you are listening to the B2B Marketing Excellence Podcast. I go all over the world to talk with business leaders, marketing managers, salespeople, just to hear what is happening, what's working, what's not, so that you can get actionable tips to use today to grow your business. So let's jump in. Hi, Kate. How are you today?
Hi, Donna. I'm great. How are you?
Good. I was so happy when we met at the PMA Sales and Marketing Roundtable because your wealth of knowledge was so enjoyable to geek out with.
I came back to both my family and my work and just talking about how many wonderful connections and conversations that I got to have at PMA and just how valuable those conversations were, whether they were on one of the topics or just sitting around the table at dinner, and how much we got to really dive in and see those different sides of what different manufacturers were doing and what all is out there. It was an incredible, incredible opportunity. And I am so glad that we got to meet as well.
Yeah, you're right. And I think PMA is doing a good thing by having these industry specific events because it's wonderful to sit down with other manufacturers that might be having the same challenges or thinking about how do we use these AI tools? What AI tools do we need? So the event itself, I think, was a huge success. One of the topics that came up during that day and a half that we were together was because teams are so lean, what can they do to get their message out there? And one of the areas that came up on, which I was hoping you and I could dive a little bit deeper into, was LinkedIn.
Yep.
Now, I think we both agree you're a manufacturer. If you're going to pick only one social media platform, and I always recommend to clients, start with one, be an expert at one, and then look at the others. But with LinkedIn, could you describe how you strategically use LinkedIn for your company? And how do you prioritize all the activities? Because I
yeah.
don't want it to be overwhelming for people.
Absolutely. So for us, we are one of those manufacturers who has a very small team of me. I have an incredible leadership team in our company that supports me fully and wholeheartedly and feeds into everything that we do, which is wonderful.
That's a
It's
huge
huge.
plus
Absolutely.
because people need to value that marketing person more than they do.
They absolutely. And I'm very lucky in that sense. And I'm also very lucky in what we believe as a company. So one of our big things is talking about our vision, mission, and values. And that's the values of our culture within our company, what our mission as an organization and partner with our clients is, and then what our vision is as well. And our vision, and one that I get to work on every single day, is that we strive to be the most trusted voice in the markets that we serve.
Okay,
So
good.
That is what informs everything that we do on social media, everything that we're putting out into the world from our company, because we don't just want to be someone's partner company. We also want to be a company that people can turn to and say, oh yeah, I think Tusco knows something about this. I can call my guy at Tusco. He might have an answer. And
So just even as a valuable
information source. Yeah.
And then they would know that the information they're getting is accurate. And because you know the industry so well, they can utilize that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so being that resource and having that opportunity, that's what we strive to do with our LinkedIn profile as well. And so that's really what feeds into it. And that's a lot of what I'm looking at regularly and looking at on how we utilize it. So we're constantly putting out content. A lot of times there's new written content, links back to our website. We have an extensive resource library on our website with blogs and videos and different pieces like that. But a lot of it is just informational on our processes that we run. So learning about laser cutting or learning about metal tube bending, because
that's so important because sometimes companies don't put that learn about section. And people aren't sure what they
Yep.
need. Yeah. Okay,
And
good.
absolutely. And that, to break it down and to give that little bit more information and have that resource. So maybe you don't know the difference between a MIG weld and a TIG weld. So you're just looking for welding. Right.
I don't know the difference.
And we have resources based on that. And that's what we're sharing and that's what we're promoting.
Yeah.
We also share industry news on our LinkedIn page and on our social sites. Not only are we're doing that self-promotion thing where we're giving you a blog that we've gone through and we've vetted and written, and it's hosted on our website, but we're also going to link to external sources. We're going to send somebody to the Fabricator magazine, or we're going to send someone to NAM's latest release, something like that. If we think it's industry specific and it's important for people in the industry to see.
And do you set up on your calendar, are there certain days that you do this? So do you say industry news on Monday, Tuesday, it's going to be our blog, Wednesday is going to be that? Do you ever set it up like that?
Yes, so we also, one of our specialties is retail display. So
Okay.
a lot of times I'm peppering in, making sure that we have one that's a retail focused piece, and then also one that's that contract fabrication and metal working. So breaking up your calendar and looking at the consistency of it too.
Yeah.
So making sure that you're posting and finding out when your best times to post are. So we all know that's the algorithm.
Like saying, have you figured it out? Because mine constantly changes.
I haven't. It changes every single day. You want to be consistent and you want to have that plan, but you also have to have some flexibility built in too. And so it can be a struggle at times, but it's just very funny to me. For me, as my only one, as the one and only for us, I use the tool Loomly, which is a scheduling tool.
Okay.
Loomly has a LinkedIn integration, which not all of the schedulers, the standalone scheduling products have. So Loomly integrates with LinkedIn, and Loomly provides AI and AI analyzed recommendations on every single post that you schedule. So if I'm going in to schedule for Tuesday at 2 p.m., Loomly will pop up at the bottom and say, hey, this is not a great time on your page to post on LinkedIn. And that has been very helpful too. Is it always right? No, of course not. Because we also know the algorithm changes every single hour. So it's going to be completely different tomorrow. But
here's, okay, I got a question for you just quickly
absolutely.
about Loomly. Can you have both company and individual pages within Loomly?
I don't know. I have
Okay.
not set up an individual page in Loomly. I use it only as a business portal.
So it is your big company pages there and you're able to put up videos, whatever you want within there. Okay.
Yes. And what's great about Loomly too, and we've seen this a couple of times where with the algorithms changing on different social networks, both LinkedIn and Facebook specifically, they prioritize video that's hosted on their platform. So instead of having a link to a YouTube video where you're sending them out, they're going to prioritize that natively uploaded video, and Loomly does that. So Loomly's not sending, if you upload the video into Loomly and it posts for you, it will be native then on LinkedIn or on Facebook, so that you're not sending people away from those sites. That can hurt your views and hurt where you end up in the feed.
Now, when you have Loomly, are you paying, is it a monthly fee?
I do their very base annual plan, and they build their plans based on how many accounts you need to connect. And so we are a company that focuses on LinkedIn, Facebook, and we dabble in Instagram sometimes. And it's only for Instagram and Facebook is where we post the community side or work anniversaries. We also post those on LinkedIn, but Facebook is strictly for, hey, how can we connect with our team members, potential team members in the community, their families. We're a company that doesn't have, our revenue generating clients aren't necessarily geographically local to us. So we aren't in the community because we're a B2B. Our B2B is not located where we are in semi-rural Ohio.
That makes sense.
I noticed you did not try to say Janine Hutton as my location. We're in this smaller community. So our community is looking at our team members and their families. And that's it's easy to reach them on Facebook and Instagram, but we're not going to be reaching a new metal client necessarily on Facebook or Instagram, but they are on LinkedIn. And we know that because we've had discovery calls with potential clients and prospects who say, oh yeah, I thought of you guys because I know you're an expert because I see what you post on LinkedIn.
Oh,
And it's great to have that immediate full circle, whether
oh,
it moves forward or not. And some of those have turned into a revenue generating client. Some
right.
don't get past that prospect stage,
But
they're
still,
happy.
if they feel that way, if they're not ready to buy now, they might in the future.
Yeah.
Or if they know somebody else who says, hey, by the way, do you know anyone who can help us out with this? They would recommend your company. It's always great to have a good footprint out in
Yeah.
the marketplace that shows you as a thought leader in the space.
Absolutely. And that's, like I said, that's our vision. And
Yeah.
that's our whole company's vision. It's not just
That's a good
for
vision.
me, but I get to live it every single day. And
Right.
so that's what informs every piece of content I'm putting out, everything I'm working on at any given time. And that main tool that I use, and LinkedIn now has a native scheduler. It's not the greatest, but what you can do with LinkedIn scheduler is schedule reposts now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is like the
I love
coolest
that.
thing. I need Meta to get on board with that because
Yeah.
it is so convenient now, especially when you're building out that content schedule and you're looking at
Yes.
your calendar and saying, oh, well,
Okay. That being
yeah.
said, how far out do you build your schedule? Do you sit down and plan out a whole month? Do you plan out longer? Do you do it by week?
So I'm a 2-week person. I look at a month, but I set my content in about 2-week parameters.
Increment.
And part of that is because if there's new reports or things like
Yeah.
that coming out,
Okay.
so I know at the beginning of the month, there's a jobs report that comes out. If the jobs report has something relevant, then I want to fit that in. So I can plan for those things, but not schedule those things necessarily.
Yeah.
If we're doing something with evergreen content, I will put it out further. Those work anniversaries, things like that, we do a post on the first of the month celebrating whoever's
Nice.
anniversary that month. So that's easy. That's an easy schedule. But for me and for us, I look at a little bit smaller segment just so it can be a little more nimble and be a little bit more flexible.
And it's more current then.
Yes.
Because like you just said, there could be something happening in the economy tomorrow that could really affect your industry. And you've got to have the flexibility to quickly put in those social media posts to do that. You set it all out and you just let it go and you don't keep it current. That's where you can run into trouble.
Yeah. And not allowing yourself that flexibility and
Yes.
being too rigid in it. Really, I've watched many struggle with that. And you just got to be open to the shifting and you got to figure out what works for your audience. And that's part of it too. But for us, if there's new bankruptcy information about different retailers or different brands, things like that happening, I see it in the headlines in the morning or I see it in the headlines in the afternoon. And if it's something that's going to be very relevant to a lot of our clients or anyone who's going to be impacted by it, I want to get that on the schedule. I do know we have a company that we work with that does some additional email newsletters and things for us, and they post to our LinkedIn for us twice a month. It's every two Tuesdays a month. So I know to plan around those 2 Tuesdays every month, as opposed to planning my content for those same days or things like that. But I'd say I look at a month, but I plan 2 weeks.
Let's say you are a manufacturing company, you don't have a marketing team. So now you're asking maybe one of your employees to do the company page and then for individuals to post on their own personal pages. And I'm a big component of consistency over quantity. So if you can only do one a week, but it's Thursday, 2:00, and you do it and you get it out there every week, do you like that cadence, like once a week, or do you push people to say you got to do at least 2? What's your viewpoint on that?
So I think that base is one time a week. I'm going to misquote the statistic on it, but there's a sizable difference in whether or not if you post just one time a week consistently versus not posting or just posting randomly, it's very significant increase in engagement and followers and impressions and all of those pieces. So if that is all you can do is do one post a week, make it consistent, make it something good quality.
Yeah.
I am a proponent of, I think we share news from other organizations.
Mm.
I have no problem sharing from somebody reputable. I want to think about it similar to your website backlinks.
Right.
You don't want to be sharing something from Al's manufacturing synopsis on Main Street or something like that necessarily. But if
Yeah.
it's something from NAM, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Share that piece, add something to it, add some type of
Your
thought.
thoughts.
Your
Yes.
thought
Because
have to go to it, but it's and continue the conversation. I always joke about it. You think about it like the way that you wrote essays in high school and college, where you had to write that English essay, or you're responding on the message boards.
Yeah.
So anybody who's been in an online class in college at any point where you read the message above you and you have to go, I really liked your point about XYZ. Here's why I agree with it. Or
Yeah.
here are my thoughts on it. And you're adding to the conversation. You're continuing to put yourself forward.
That's the key. You're adding to the conversation and you're trying to also keep the conversation going so that you all get even more information out of it. I see all these people who they either repost without adding their thoughts, or they'll comment to other people's posts and they'll write, oh, this is great. Or
Yeah.
congratulations to an individual, which is always nice to say congratulations or this is great, but
Add
to it.
something. Yep. And it's so easy to hit that repost instantly.
Yes.
And you and I had talked about this previously a little bit, that we're both proponents of getting everyone on LinkedIn, no matter where you are in a company. If you are a client facing role, if you're a public facing role, or someone working, especially manufacturing on the floor, it's so beneficial for you to be on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And I know it can be intimidating for a lot of people. So that repost instantly is nice when you're maybe a little bit intimidated by LinkedIn and trying to get used to it. I don't discourage my team members from doing that. But if I'm, as my business page, doing a repost, there's absolutely got to be thoughts added to it.
Something's better than nothing for
Yes.
the other employees of the company. Seeing them repost good quality content is with no thoughts is better than nothing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And I totally agree with making sure that everyone within the organization has a LinkedIn page, because people resonate with different people. And you're right, the people on the shop floor, guess what? There's other people on other shop floors who would love to hear
Yes.
your thoughts.
We have a couple of our team members who have gone to, in the last couple of years, a lot of Powder Coating Institute events.
Okay.
Huge organization in our industry. Since we're a contract fabricator, manufacturer, but we're an end to end. So we look at everything from laser cutting all the way to warehousing and distribution. And part of that is having an in-house powder coating line. And that has created so many great relationships for our team members on our powder coat, who are part of our powder coat team. A couple, actually, we're in a process of evaluating some upgrades, and they said, oh, I met so-and-so at PCI and we're connected on LinkedIn, and can I go see what their setup is? This is one of our team members. She's not the supervisor for that area. She's not in a named leadership role, but she's leading from the floor because she has that LinkedIn connection and because she was able to have that opportunity.
And those LinkedIn connections are so great, because if someone comes into me and I don't know who they are, I do go to LinkedIn. I always go to LinkedIn to research, like, who are you? Have you been at that company for a while? What do you really have to offer? And I think people don't think of LinkedIn as much that way. They think about promoting your business or looking to hire someone, but people have to realize it's a research tool for a lot of colleges, companies. It doesn't matter. They look on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. We do it all the time. If we get a new contact form from a prospect, one of the first things that myself or one of the salespeople are doing is looking up the person who made the contact with us on LinkedIn, seeing what's on their profile, getting any information that we can.
Are they a real person?
Are they a real person? We had one a couple years ago where an individual had filled out our contact form and put the name of a corporation that was a very large corporation. I say we're a small to mid-size. For us to get contact from some multi-billion-dollar organization is unusual for us. It's happened, but it's
like it, but
it's fine. We'll take it. But usually it's like a small segment of that somebody's in some specific area. And so I went to immediately we went to LinkedIn and we were like, okay, is this person for real? They weren't. The name did not match. The company did not match. There was no matching of anything. And so we're not sure what kind of scam one of spam contact submission things that probably wanted us to click on a file and try and download something and that type of thing. But to have that opportunity where you can pop onto LinkedIn immediately and have that, and it just gives a great background and gives everybody that opportunity. When I'm talking to my team, I use a three-pillar approach is the way that I call it. I talk a lot about how the people portion is those connections and having that opportunity to look people up, and how many times we're able to pull someone up and maybe they're a second or third connection, but you can see who your mutual connections are and say, oh, okay, maybe they have some insight, or maybe they've worked with this person before, and where you can build those relationships. Because as we all know, even in B2B business, you're not actually selling to another business, you're selling to another person. It's people. It always comes back to people.
Yes.
If you're building those relationships, building those connections, that's where the success is going to come.
Plus, you can go on to LinkedIn, like you said, you get those connections. If there's something that is similar to you, maybe they both live in Ohio, maybe they both like to downhill ski, but if it's not that personal, it could be even, you can mention an award they just got or a post maybe they just put out there, which shows also the people that you truly care about what they're doing. It's not just those, don't even get me started with the uniform sales things we all get on LinkedIn now that are so long. I don't know why people think you're going to go through this whole long thing. You're not, but I do short and sweet, but I put something up there that shows I did my research. I know we can help you in this space, and you put it out there, and it's just a great way to look that up.
We had a really cool pitch a couple years ago. It was a cold pitch to us that wanted to, I can't even remember what exactly they were pitching, but they had gone to our owner's LinkedIn page, saw where he went to college, and had made it was like a 10 or 15-second video with a whiteboard, and she had it like written on the whiteboard and then sent it. It wasn't going to turn into anything with us, but I was like, it showed that level of effort of, okay, at least you looked us up. The number of times that I get a message or something that clearly, or my favorite is the guest blog requests that I get. I want to write a guest blog for you, and they are in some industry that isn't even adjacent to metal fabrication, but
it does get interesting, and it's great to wean it out, but LinkedIn can help you find those details to make your sales messages speak more directly to the individual, and they're going to be more apt to answer it. And hopefully then you can take it to the next level.
And I tell my team members when I'm sitting down with them and I'll audit people's individual LinkedIn profile. We just left turn from business pages to personal pages. So I want to make sure that people know I'm talking about personal pages right now, is that I'll sit down with my team members and we'll go through their page and we'll look at it. And I challenge them to spend 5 minutes on LinkedIn a day. Spend 5 minutes connecting with someone, participating in a conversation, doing something that's going to create that engagement.
I totally agree. You're a little bit nicer than me. I say, if you could give it 15 minutes, because I don't know about you, it sucks me in. It's like, and I say 5 minutes.
I have no problem. I have no problem getting to 15 minutes. We've said when you're opening all those tabs in the morning, open up LinkedIn, see what's happening, get those headlines, follow companies that you are interested in, follow the companies we're working with. Look at what our clients are putting out. Look at those pieces. All of that is going to inform your conversations with the people you're talking to every single day.
So now, if you're talking about the personal pages of employees at a company, do you sit down with them before they start this to set up their LinkedIn pages so that they reflect back to Tusco Manufacturing's branding?
So we do and we can. We have a standard cover photo that I use if people don't have something they want to use. Last year, we did headshots for anyone who was in a position where they are sending emails or indirect conversation, especially externally. Out of our 55 to 60 regular full-time staff team members, we photographed almost 30 of them. That's not just leadership, because our team is a small portion of that. Those were our team members on the floor. Those are team members who are leading different capacities. So now they have that professional headshot that they can use as they choose. And if they are having me help with their LinkedIn page, I just automatically have it in the folder when we go through and look at their page. I have not at this point where I do it when team members start, but I love that idea.
Yeah.
That I think, yeah.
Or a workshop. If someone
I-
who's listening right now, if they don't have their whole team on LinkedIn, you could do a 30-minute workshop, have everyone in the room, they have their laptop. Maybe you had an event where you already have the profile picture, but you have everyone go set it all up. And then
Yep.
you have to tell them that's done now. You don't have to worry about that stuff for another. I'd like to go back every other year. I like to change it up, make sure your picture's current. It wouldn't be good if I had a picture out there of when I was like 25.
Yeah.
People would look at me at a trade show going, oh my goodness, you've aged. But you know what I mean? Keep the pictures current.
So I've done a couple of workshops where we've
Good.
brought in a group of team members, and I always ask them if they could at least set up a login ahead of time,
Yeah.
and then we'll go through it. I've also done with our team people who have profiles but haven't done anything with them, haven't really updated them, and going in and then auditing it, looking through where can we improve, what can we add to, what can we make more robust. And
Yeah.
our current director of facilities and operations, he has been an employee with our company for 30 years. He started right out of high school on our floor, has moved
No
up.
LinkedIn then, people.
Yeah. So he's moved up through the ranks, but he had a LinkedIn because he's on our leadership team.
Okay.
So he's got a page and it says that he's the warehousing and distribution manager and that he started with the company in the 90s. When we sat down to look at it, he was like 4 titles since he was warehousing and distribution manager. And so we went through and we didn't go in and put every single minutia of it, but I said, let's look back. We want your start date to show and reflect the 30 years at this organization and the 30 years.
Expertise.
You're an expert.
The knowledge that he has. And
Absolutely.
there's so much value in that you can't get from books, conferences, wherever you look. You can't
Absolutely.
get that. Yeah.
And that was what I told him. I said, this is, and for him, the way that we were looking at it in that context of when people are talking to you for the first time, they're going to look you up on LinkedIn.
Yes.
We want them to see that your title on LinkedIn matches what your title currently is.
Don't start with giving you the basic definitions of cutting or fabricating. He knows
fabricating or what we're looking for. And he's a brilliant individual. We wanted to reflect that industry knowledge, that organizational knowledge, what he has to offer and how valuable he can be to the clients he's talking to, the suppliers he's talking to, new equipment companies, anything like that. And it's one of those things that he set it up and then just was like, yeah, it's fine. It exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because at some point before he was probably told, you're in leadership now, you need to create a LinkedIn page. So he did. And that was it. And that
it sits there. Yeah.
it's there. And I actually got a notification this morning. He was interacting with something on our business page. We sat down and had this. And one of my things is we have to make it approachable. And that's what I loved about when you approached me about having this conversation was how can we look at those steps that actually have some actions attached to them? What are some actionable things that we can do? But also we got to make it approachable.
Right.
And for some people, that's not how can I connect with 500 people or how can I post every single day of the week, multiple times a day.
Well, like you and I talked about at the beginning before we hopped on, it's not the number.
No.
And I stress this to everyone who's listening. It's not the number of connections you have. It's the quality of the connections you have.
Yes.
Because if they're not interacting or engaging with you, or you're not interacting, engaging with them, why are they there?
Yep. Yeah. I always think of with LinkedIn connections specifically, that you've got this tree that you're growing. And so every single one of those connections should be a root that's feeding into your tree. So if your tree is to be an individual content creator, are those followers actually feeding into the content you're putting out and making sure that content is visible? Are those connections feeding into interacting with your business? Are they feeding into that realm? I just sent out a whole bunch of connection requests yesterday, actually, for me personally, because I had seen a couple of people pop up where I was peripherally aware of them, or we were second or third connections and something that I had posted that I had tagged my company in, they had interacted with. And then I went, oh yeah, I saw them speak at this panel. They know someone else with my company. We had mutual connections. To send those notes off and just say, hey, I think we could be valuable connections to each other going forward. And
does everyone hear that? She did just that simple little note out there. I think we could be a valuable connection. That's it. Because the short ones are the ones that are going to get some time on it. The long ones, I think everyone's like me and you, we're just deleting them.
And I'm not pitching in that too.
Yeah. No,
It may be that I send a request because I think they're going to be able to help me help our company potentially secure funding for a grant to build a new extension or something like that.
okay.
That's not the case in the connections I sent yesterday. But even if it was, I'm not going to say that in my connection request message necessarily. It's going to be hey, I've seen that you've interacted with our posts. I think it'd be valuable to be connected. This feeds into the psychology side of it, but of how they can be valuable to you,
Yes.
not necessarily how you can be valuable to them.
Right.
And I think, and I'm sure you see it too, how many times we get the messages that are like, oh, we should connect because I can help you do XYZ. I can help you grow your followers. I can help you grow your impressions, whatever it is. And that may be the case. But if you're sending me that in a LinkedIn message before you connected with me, it's a no from me.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. So now when my listeners or our listeners are listening to this, I would say start out with that workshop. If you're you have a small marketing team, or maybe you don't have a marketing team, maybe you're the business development or you're the president or owner, set everyone down, set up a workshop, create those LinkedIn profiles for everyone within the company, along with the companies. Ask them, like you said, do 5 minutes a day and post once a week. Start with once a week and see how you do with that. And when you are reposting or commenting, put something thoughtful with almost an open-ended question with hopes that someone takes someone to keep that conversation going. And you're not doing it just to get business. You're doing it to put more information in there to offer value, or like you said, with your mission statement, show trust within that industry. And what you said, Kate, is so important, is just make sure everyone on the team understands what is your objective here from being on LinkedIn, which should reflect really what's your company mission.
Absolutely.
And when you follow that, it's not as daunting.
Yeah, it's not daunting. Daunting was exactly the word that came to mind.
Okay, good. I was thinking of the word, but it's not as daunting as sitting there going, oh my goodness, what am I going to write about? This is too hard. I can't do this.
And I think that's a piece of it too, is I know it can be really unapproachable if you think you have to go in and put together one of these like multi-paragraph posts that you're seeing in your feed. And that's not the case.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be. You can do those reposts and just add your thoughts to it. If you see something from your company or another company you follow or an organization you follow, that I love resharing PMA things. I love resharing NAM things and adding our perspective or my perspective from where I am in the industry.
Well, I think you and I both posted about what we learned at the PMA sales and marketing. As an individual, if you're saying, what do I have to talk about that week? What were some of your telephone conversations? Did you go to a different factory, or were you on somebody else's shop floor? Write about that. But like you said, it doesn't have to be multiple paragraphs.
No, it can be just that quick I think of it sometimes as that caption. It's a little capture of the bigger idea. And I'll go back to our director of facilities and operations because I know he won't be bothered by it. So we looked at his profile, and he had just completed a training with PMA as well. And we're going through his feed because he's now following different organizations, and he goes, oh my gosh, that speaker was so good, because the picture that PMA had shared was of this specific speaker, his training. And he goes, oh, he was so good. He was great. His name was this, blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, so we're going to repost this and you're going to add those thoughts to it. And that's all you have to do. All you have to do is that quick sentence of, I just completed this training and I thought that this individual in the photo was an incredible speaker. And I highly recommend it.
And that does several different things. One, it shows his thoughts out in the marketplace and it recommends it to other people. It does give a little perk to PMA, which is good for them. If they're doing a good job, yes, give them that testimonial that their event was good. But then it also shows the speaker that they are speaking on target, because good speakers really want to make sure they're making a difference. They don't care if everyone there likes them and thinks they're unbelievable. They're not Tony Robbins. We're not all going to be Tony Robbins. But if a few people there really resonate with what you're saying and are going to be able to use it, they would love to hear about it.
Yep.
So you put it out there. Yeah.
And I'm a huge proponent of tagging people, tag organizations, tag people. Anytime that you're sharing something and you can tag someone in it, that's just going to extend the reach of it. And it's just going to continue to grow your authority. And I think about that in the same way I was talking about with my tree idea of you're growing your connections, but that's also part of how you feed into your business page. So all those people who work there, if they're listing your company as their job, their connections then feed into your business
Yes.
page and help to grow that reach too. Everything is connected. And that's one of the conversations I have too, because I hear it regularly, especially at our company. And I think it speaks to the type of company we have in our culture is that they're not looking for jobs. So why would they be on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Multiple people on our team said, I always just thought it was your resume posted for when you're trying to
Yes.
find a job. And it's not that anymore
Yep.
at all. But if they haven't been on LinkedIn since they created that profile 6, 7, 8 years ago, it's a different world than it was 2 years ago,
Gosh,
a
yes.
year ago, and it'll be different next year. And bringing that back and making sure people realize that too. But my team, a lot of times are saying, well, I don't want to be on it because I'm not looking for a job. And I think
Yeah.
someone at PMA even mentioned that they said, I wouldn't connect with people from my work because anytime they were looking for a job, they would update their LinkedIn and I'd get a notification. Or if I
Okay.
was looking for a job, I didn't want it to notify people, which you can now turn off on LinkedIn in case you did not
Yeah.
know that. But that's really not what it is anymore. And
No.
that's what I strive to instill in our team members when I'm doing these trainings, when I'm sitting down with them, when I'm talking to them about LinkedIn, is that it's not just about self-promotion. It's about how that self-promotion can influence the company too, and
Yes.
how all of that is so interconnected. And I say it all the time. I'm like, I'm right there with you. I am not looking for a job, but I am on LinkedIn every single day and I'm spending time on LinkedIn. As personally, I also run the company page. So obviously I'm doing
Yeah.
that, but I'm making sure that I'm interacting with things and adding something to a conversation at least once a day.
Yeah.
And just to continue to build that, even though I'm not looking for a job, but I like
No.
to volunteer. I like to be involved in different organizations in the community.
Yeah.
People are looking for you that way too. And I think people forget about that side of it too. I know in our community, when organizations are looking for new board members or things like that,
Yes.
a lot of
Right.
times they're checking out your LinkedIn.
Yeah,
And
I've been approached by quite a few organizations to ask to be put on their board. And
yeah.
that's where people also have to realize LinkedIn is a marketing sales channel. And
Mhm.
I know I have heard from legacy brands or large manufacturers saying, no, that isn't our wheelhouse. That's not where our audience is. And yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
But I'm also not saying you're going to do a LinkedIn post and someone's going to come in and buy that expensive
Yeah.
CNC machine. They're not going to, but will that LinkedIn post help complement maybe a sales message you just sent the person or a direct marketing piece you
Yep.
just sent out? Yes, it will. It just helps give more validity. And especially in this day and age with, is it AI? Is it robots? What is it? Are they real?
Yep.
Where are they? Are they in the United States? All those unanswered questions now can be answered if you show yourself in certain spots,
Yep.
reinforcing your brand and where you are.
And I love where LinkedIn's asking expert opinions on things. You've been
Yes.
invited to respond to something. I saw this morning something that you actually had responded to popped up in my feed. And I went, oh, there's Donna. But to have those opportunities too. And a couple of individuals that I've done this with in my company have within a couple of days after they start doing that engagement, they have started getting asked to respond on some of those articles. And I was like, you don't have to be the best opinion, the only opinion, because your thoughts are valid on this topic, whether or not it agrees with other people who've responded or whether or not it's going to be the industry, whatever.
I
You
know
talk about
exactly
your
what
real
you're saying.
experience.
Yeah, because I don't know if you heard or read the response, but everyone else had this polished answer about speaking, and I broke it down. Speak from your heart, speak
Yeah.
what is important to you. And someone in my company, I repeated this to them, they're like, Donna, that's not what they want to see. You really need to be putting out a more professional response. And I'm like, no, that's not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other people out there who want people to speak in plain English.
Yep. That authenticity piece. And I think that's a piece of it too. And touching on that, getting those large numbers of connections, any of those
Yeah.
type of pieces, you've still got to be authentic. And that's
Yes.
where I make it approachable, because if it's not
Yes.
approachable, you're going to get scared and you're not going to respond in an authentic manner. You're not going to contribute in an authentic manner and offer what your knowledge and expertise is, because it's there. You have it.
Yeah.
I know you do, because I see it. I see these individuals in our team all of the time. And
Yeah.
so many people could benefit from what they have to offer if they saw an avenue for themselves that was approachable.
And there's two parts to that. If you're unique, your voice will stand out because it's going to be different than everyone else out there. And that's so important to do that. And the other thing is, you have to remember, not everyone is going to like what you're saying or like
Yep.
the way you write it. Just like when I gave a speech recently, I know there was someone in the audience who was so bored. They were yawning, they were looking at their phone. And
Well-
of course, I looked at them a few times, but then I looked around the rest of the room and everyone else was writing. And you've got to remember, you're never, ever going to get 100% people to say, oh my gosh, that post is amazing. So just post who you are and put it out there authentically.
And the right people it's going to resonate with the
Yes.
right people and who it needs to.
And those are the people you want to work with anyway, because you're going to understand each other. Yeah.
And that's part of, for us with our business page, I see that a lot, where we want to make sure that we're connecting with the right kind of people. All of these smaller companies where we have marketing departments of one, things like that, none of us are able to be excellent at everything. So some places are doing lots of video.
A lot of people, video's big right now. But the thing is, if that is not your thing, don't feel like you have to do it. I think we could continue talking about this LinkedIn topic.
Oh, absolutely.
Forever. Matter of fact, we should run a workshop, because I think we could sit down with a room of people, get them all set up within an hour and show them how to post. And then all these manufacturers would be like, that's one thing off my plate.
Hey, PMA next year for the Sales and Marketing Roundtable, we'll pitch a workshop. We'll tell everybody bring their laptops. It'll be great.
I think it's always great. So Kate, thank you very much for your time today. And thank you for the insights on LinkedIn and how you made it so it's not such a daunting process. People can easily get set up and do that one consistent post every week.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Talk to you later.
Thanks for listening to the World Innovators B2B Marketing Excellence Podcast. If you'd like to be updated when new episodes come out, don't forget to subscribe. Also, check out our social media accounts to stay up to date on B2B marketing trends.